Welcome back, everyone, to the Queen of TV channel. Before we get started our intro, let's get into our three things. First off, please watch the video to the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Second, there will be cursing and profanity. If that's not your cup of tea, this channel is not for you. And lastly, I will be giving my honest opinion about the episode and the show as a whole. Without further ado, let's get into our intro. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, the Queen herself, and you are the Prince and Princesses. You are either a subscriber or you are a viewer. Either way, welcome. Today we'll be talking about H2O Season 1, Episode 13, Shipwreck. We start this episode with Zane having an argument with Mrs. Chatham about his jet ski getting scratched by her boat after it broke off of the rope where you're supposed to tie the boats to the pier. And Emma gets involved because Zane is to her overreacting, and he threatens to tell the harbmaster. Despite the fact that Miss Chatham is apologizing and Emma is telling him to relax and let her talk. Emma apologizes for Zane, and Miss Chatham thanks her, mentioning Emma's name. Emma's confused how she knows her name, so Miss Chatham formally introduces herself as the old lady that Cleo has been talking about. Well, before they can finish their conversation, the harbmaster does show up. He tells Mrs. Chatham that he has to repossess her boat, and they will be deciding whether or not to take it from her. Miss Chatham obviously is upset about this, and she tries to get the harbmaster to come onto the boat, but he says they've had too many complaints about her, and he has to tell Zane to let him handle this when Zane keeps trying to shut his mouth off about her not needing a second chance and that her boat should not be here. That it's an eyesore and it's an embarrassment. Miss Chatham has a heart attack and she has to be taken to the hospital. Miss Chatham is telling Emma not to let them get her treasure. That's what they want. They're after her treasure. Zane overhears this, but writes it off as nothing at first. He tells Emma that he did not mean to give the old bag a heart attack. Emma says, tell that to her, Zane. We cut to another scene where Emma's telling Louise, Ricky, and Cleo about Miss Chatham and what happened. Louise realizes that this must be the old lady who lives on the boat alone, with no husband, no family, nobody. He says that he doesn't know her personally, but he's heard about her. They're not piecing it together that she's a mermaid, despite the fact that Cleo brings up the fact that she could have possibly been a mermaid after she says that she knows about the full moon, their powers, and them being mermaids. So it's well explained that it's obvious that she too is a mermaid or was one at one point. But we get more into that in the next scene where while Ricky is at Emma's house, Emma brings Miss Chatham to stay with them. Now, her mother does not like this and promptly tells Emma she should have told her first, but Emma's able to convince her to let Miss Chatham stay for a few days. Now, Ricky and Cleo really are not happy about this because they don't think that Miss Chatham can keep a secret about being a mermaid or them as mermaids. And Cleo, despite what Emma's saying, says that Miss Chatham may have not told her, hey, I know you're a mermaid, but the way that she talks to Cleo, she must know she's a mermaid. So they don't fully trust it. And Emma's only hoping that Miss Chatham can be trusted. Spoiler alert, she can be trusted. Because, duh. Well, Miss Chatham is telling Elliot, Emma's little brother, about her husband and how they had built that boat so many years ago. And we find out that the reason why she lives alone is because her husband actually died 15 years ago. Right now, Miss Chatham is 65 years old, and her husband at the time would have been in his 50s because she was 50 years old. So I'm guessing that she met her husband in the 1960s or something like that, somewhere in there, maybe the early, the middle, or the end of the 1960s. But I'm wondering, like, some things, and I will get into that in my review. Miss Chatham, while talking to everyone, even dropping hints about knowing things about the girls being mermaids and how they should know certain stuff because they are mermaids. Miss Chatham gets a phone call from the harbor master that tells her that they are taking her boat. She is very upset with this, and Emma, feeling bad, decides that, hey, why don't we just give it a fresh coat of paint and fix it up? And she gets Cleo and Emma Emma gets Cleo and Ricky to help. Well, Ricky looks at that boat and says that she needs a whole new boat because that boat is not salvageable. Okay? That boat is gone. Out of luck. You really can't fix it. I can understand the sentimental value of her wanting to keep the boat. It is what she has left of her husband. So once that boat is gone, she really does not have no one. The high master stops him and tells him there's no point. The boat is rusted. It's got bad parts. The motor is no good. It is a complete, utter dump. Miss Chatham refuses to accept that and tries to plead her case and wants to get on her boat. They refuse her. She whispers to Emma again that they are all after her treasure. This time, Nate is with Zane when he hears this, and Nate asks him what treasure, and Zane is not intrigued. While they're at Emma's house again, Miss Chatham does talk to the girls, and she has to spill it out for them. Yes, I know y'all mermaids. Yes, I am well aware. I used to be a mermaid. That's how I know. Which I don't know why they didn't come to that conclusion themselves. Before anything else can happen, and before that conversation, Miss Sham does have dinner with her family and says she does not want to be a bother and that she will be leaving soon. Emma's parents say that Miss Chatham has to leave soon because they can't keep housing her. Emma's able to convince them to give them a few more days. Well, Miss Chatham pulls a trick on them by simply saying that she has a headache, she's finna go lay down. She actually sneaks out where she goes on her boat, starts it up, and drives away with it, accidentally bumping into Zane's ski, which she damaged the first time at the beginning of the episode with a scratch by accident. Now this time, she scratched it so bad it sunk. So by the next morning, Emma notices that Miss Chatham is gone. She cannot find her. She goes back to the pier where she finds Zane. Zane's ski is completely and utterly damaged. Emma knows that Miss Chatham is gone and the boat is gone as well. Zane knows it was Miss Chatham. Emma tries to tell him he doesn't know that, and actually he does, and she does too. He leaves on the Zodiac, and Emma has to go get Louise because it's not like she can just jump in the water as a mermaid and stop them. By the time they get there, Zane had already arrived because Miss Chatham's boat actually finally gave out. She's trapped, and he gets on the boat where he threatens her that shows him money. She says she does not have none. He brings up the treasure. This upsets her to where she has a heart attack. Then that's when Emma and Louis show up, and they're able to get Miss Chatham off the boat. Emma gets mad at Zane, saying if anything happens to her, it's all his fault. He's trying to find her heart medication. They did reveal to us earlier when she had her first heart attack that she has not been taking her medication, which is wild to me. Whoa. No, you have to take your heart medication or you're going to die. They get Miss Chatham on Lewis's boat and try to get her to the hospital in time because they're bringing her medication so that way they know what's wrong with her. Emma tells Zane to come on. Zane decides to stay behind. He wants to look for this treasure. He instead conveniently finds a locket that looks exactly like Cleo's locket that used to belong to Gracie. Huh. That's strange. He thinks it's absolutely worth nothing and drops it. Well, in the ensuing argument that he had with Miss Chatham, a drink had gotten knocked over and it spilled into the motor, and the motor finally blew up, knocking Zane out. The boat starts to sink. Emma and Louise can see it from afar, and they are looking for Zane but cannot find him. Emma realizes that Zane must have stayed on the boat and that he is in trouble and she needs to go help him. Louis tells her not to because he could see her as a mermaid, but Miss Chatham says she actually doesn't have a choice, which is also strange. But she's also right. She has to save his life, regardless if he sees the secret or not. She tries to get Louis to stay with Emma, but Louis says he can't. He has to get to the hospital. Emma is able to find the boat because Zane eventually did wake up and started realizing the boat was sinking, and he tried to get out, but he was trapped. He ended up not fully blacking out, but passed out enough to where he was drowning. Emma makes it to him, and she has to use her literal tail to break the door down to save him. Before she can get into the process of pulling him out, when she fully opens the door, he sees the end of her mermaid tail before he passes out completely. Because all that thumping from her tail onto the door actually woke him up. When they make it to the beach of Mako Island, Emma says she put him to shore, saying that she didn't see anything down there, but he did, and Emma realizes, he saw something. Now, I can understand the situation with Zane knowing that secret, but we're gonna say that for the review. Emma is able to find the locket and give it to Miss Chatham, which is revealed to be obviously the treasure. Miss Chatham does agree to go to a nursing home, which Emma's mother is happy about. And what's the best way to put it? The episode ends like this. So now that the episode is over, let's get into the review. Okay, let's talk about it. I understand why they don't want Zane to know the secret. Okay? I get it. What reason would they have to tell Zane? Now, it could have just been easier if the girls were like, Zane, it was Emma that saved you. She is the sea monster that you saw. Does that mean that he won't go shout his mouth off about mermaids? We don't know. Well, we kind of know, but we don't know if he would have done it if he knew it was them. So Zane is now going to be a problem. If he wasn't a problem already, he's a problem now. So the girls are in trouble and they are going to have to figure some things out, or he's going to discover their secret. Now that brings me to Miss Chatham, which obviously the episode was focused on her. I, for one, believe they did her episode and Gracie's episode far better than they did Julia's episode. But other than that, this was a pretty good episode. We finally get to find out her name. We find out more about her than her just being some woman that gives them advice. And they all know who the lady is and that she used to be a mermaid and that she is practically a veteran. So they can trust her. They have nothing to worry about. So, yeah. Was any of this preventable? Probably not. Okay. It was. Miss Chatham could have just let them take the boat. She could have just told them that she needs her things off the boat. She could have just taken the locket. She could have just told them that she wanted to claim her jewelry. And that'll be the end of it. So her shouting off that she's got treasure obviously is going to make anybody think that she's got a boatload of money, which even though if that's the case, Zane is fucking rich. Like, your dad has all this money. He's practically a damn surgeon. Like a surgeon. He does plastic surgery. You don't need The damn money. Look at the house you live in. Why do you need the damn treasure? Also, clearly, obviously, Louis and Miss Chatham are not beefing yet, but that day is gonna come. It's good that Cleo and Ricky aren't like jumping at their feet at the idea of Miss Chatham knowing about them, because it makes sense. What we know about season 2 makes this make sense, because they're not sure if in her elder age she's not going to be discreet about it, because she does drop small hints in a conversation she's having in front of the parents and Elliot. So obviously they got every right to feel how they feel. It's sweet and nice that Emma wants to help Miss Chatham, because obviously not because she used to be a mermaid, but because she feels bad that this woman is about to lose everything. Now, what I want to talk about in my review about her and her husband. If they got married at some point in the 1960s, because in 1955 is when Louise, Gracie, and Julia, yes, I'm mentioning Julia's name because there's no point in keeping y'all in the dark. Y'all have seen these reviews. If they all became mermaids at 15 in 1955, that would mean that they were full grown adults by the 1960s. Well, they were already adults at the end of the 1950s, but at this point they should have been married in the 1960s. Abortions, which apparently in where I live at is illegal now. I'm not sure how far or how much, but I know that they're trying to get rid of Planned Parenthood, or at least trying to stop them from doing certain stuff. And I'm not going to get into specifics of where I stand on that, because this is not a political channel. But they didn't start this stuff until I believe in what, the 1970s or 80s, when they started doing that. And back then they used to call it birth control before we got the birth control we know today. Why didn't they have any kids if they got married in the 1960s? Because I'm just like curiously wondering that. When Louise had said that she's got no family, and we only know that she got married and they don't mention nothing about kids, what's going through my mind is that why does Miss Chatham not got any kids? Because either she's infertile or her husband was, which is the first thing, or it's the second option that they just chose to be child free. Because from what it sounds like to me, they've lived on this boat their entire lives. And it's like they never bought a house. They only got married and then they just lived on this boat. So out of all three of the mermaids, Miss Chatham is the only one that stayed and did not leave the town, while Gracie got married and moved somewhere else, and Julia just went somewhere else as well. So Miss Chatham is the only one that stayed in the Gold Coast, and she just never saw her friends again. But then we find out in season 2, another one of their friends also stayed in the Gold Coast. So I'm like, why didn't those two friends who were best friends when they used to be teenagers were not crossing paths if they both were here the same time? So it's like, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind because there is so many plot holes. Like, so many. In season 1, that just gets worse when you get into season 2. And I am going to talk about these season 1 plot holes because I'm starting to see there's a lot of them because a lot of stuff is not making any sense. But like the spinoff Mako Mermaids, which I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to review on this channel, has way more than this show does. Like they have so many, and none of what they are doing makes sense because none of those answers came through. But for this show, why Miss Chatham never saw her friends again, or at least this case did not come in the same path as her other friend who lives in the same area that she does. I need something to make sense. But I guess we'll get into that when we get to watching that video where we talk about those plot holes. And I think I'm going to wait until after season 3 to do that. But yeah, this was a very good episode. It was good that they dedicate this episode to Miss Chatham because this mystery about who is this mystery woman? Who is she? Like the girl's not piecing together that she's a mermaid. Like why the hell is that never crossed their mind? That she had to be a mermaid to know all this shit. They just assumed that she was just guessing. Like I don't even know why they were so worried either. Like if she knew you as mermaids and she used to be one, like wouldn't it mean that she would not tell the secret because she was in the same position as y'all? So I don't know why they were so worried. I think at this point it's to give us an idea that the girls have become far more paranoid than they were at the beginning. But you know, we'll get more into that paranoia as we keep going on. But that's all I got for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I hope you have a wonderful day. If no one has told you this today, I'm telling you, I love you. And I will see you guys in the next video. But you already know. We'll be back again. So until then, bye guys.